Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Mashonda Shines. We're back. It's another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. And guess what? It's Women's History Month. So shout out to all the women who run the world across the globe. We do this. Yes, we do. And I'm starting off the month with a banger in my eyes. I think she has taken social media by storm. She has the cutest way of connecting with people to make her so relatable. No matter who you are, or if you're in sports or not, you can find something relatable and likable about this guest. Now, she's an Olympian. And she is really good at using all of her skill sets to keep us informed and encouraged. She graduated from Florida State. Shout out to the Seminoles. And recently, she became a triathlete. Wow. She's known as the Fast Braid Friday Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to Try Beginner's Luck, Colleen Quigley. Colleen, welcome. How are you?
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much for that.
Hey, I have to match your energy. You know, you come on with that fire. So I'm like, I got to match this energy.
That was incredible. Thank you. And
Just want to,
honestly, that really is a good example of the energy that I have received from the triathlon world since joining this community. Everyone has been so welcoming and just excited to join, have me join the community and have another person starting this 3-sport life. And so, yeah, just thank you for that introduction, but also thank you to the whole Tri community for making me feel so welcome. It's amazing.
and on behalf of the whole Tri community, you're welcome. And we love welcoming in new people into this sport. I think
I can tell.
99.9% of triathletes want more people to join us in the quote unquote
Yeah.
suffering. Although it's not really suffering, it's the fun. So we want to bring along friends. And so we're just happy to welcome a new friend. But listen, we're just going to cut to the chase because you're an Olympian in the Steeple Chase. Why triathlon? Why now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually have kind of a tumultuous history with running over the past couple years, few years now, where I've just suffered a lot of injuries through my running training. And so triathlon kind of came about because I started doing all this cross training. Whenever I got injured, the first time it actually happened was in 2015. I turned pro that year, graduated from Florida State, like you said, go Noles, in 2015, and I got my first major injury. And so I was cross training and mostly just aqua jogging in the pool, which if any of you listening have ever aqua jogged, you know how horribly boring aqua jogging is. Oh my gosh, it was the worst. And so I was at the pool and I was seeing all these people swimming, and I was just like, I'm an athlete, like I could do that. I never have swam before, other than to not drown, but not swimming for a workout. I had never done that before. And so I just kind of picked it up, kind of learned how to swim. I was watching YouTube videos and getting tips from the lifeguards at the pool and stuff, and started swimming for cross training. And then I was cycling for cross training and stuff. And just over the years, all the different injuries that I had had and swimming and biking during those injuries, so many people would tell me you should do a triathlon. And I finally was like, you know what? I kind of want to try. And so I got injured again this summer, or last summer now, last June. I broke my foot at the US National Championships in track and field in Steeple Chase. And I just, got frustrated. And in my moment of frustration, I said, I'm going to go talk to these people at USA Triathlon and see what the heck the deal is. And so I did. I kind of called them up and I was just like, what do I need to do? I want to see if I have a future here. How do I know if I'm good enough to try and make a team in triathlon? And so that's kind of where my journey started. They sent me to a camp with other people who were in track and field who were also thinking maybe this could be a career for me. And so I got a coach there and started training like a triathlete and doing the swimming and the biking with more intention. Before I was doing it like I was a runner who was cross training. So when I got a triathlon coach, I started training as a cyclist and training as a swimmer and training as a runner. It's a very different, in my experience, that was very different than being a runner who was cross training in different sports. And so I changed my mindset and I changed the intention around it was to like get better at cycling. And my intention was to get better at swimming instead of I'm just swimming because I can't run. I'm just biking because I can't run. And I'm just doing this other thing until I can run again. And so I changed my mindset and changed my training. And then I just did my first race like a couple weeks ago now. So I guess now I'm officially a triathlete.
Hey.
I've arrived.
All
So
right.
here
How
we are.
about that? Here we are.
Yeah.
Okay. You set some intentions, you changed your mindset. And I
Yeah.
just want to ask you because I think people need to hear for those who've had injuries, in
Mm.
thinking about ways to be more intentional. Give us some of those things that allowed you to help guide your intentions and change your mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such a journey, and there have been so many times where I just was like, this is rough, like I don't know what to do, and I was felt very on my own. Like anyone who has dealt with an injury or is dealing with an injury, it can make you feel very isolated, very just very alone when, especially if you have people that you normally train with that you can't train with because you're injured and they're continuing, they're doing their thing and you're not, and that can just feel so tough. And so for me, the swimming and the biking was really a savior for me, and in that I could have an outlet for, I consider myself an athlete, and I think anyone who does sport should consider themselves an athlete. Anyone listening to this podcast is an athlete. And so if you take that away, that thing that you're part of your identity, like take that away, that can just be mentally really challenging. And so I found different ways when I was in that kind of place to be an athlete. And it was different than I was, normally used to. But I would have that outlet. And that was really important for me to do every day. At some point in the day, I got to like feel like an athlete in some way. And so I recommend that to anyone who's injured, if you can, whatever it is, whatever movement you can do. And maybe it's literally the only thing you're allowed to do is like yoga. Well, then, girl or guy, get yourself a yoga mat. You are going to be doing some yoga. You have to find a way to like feel like yourself, even if it's just for like an hour a day. Or if it's just doing your physical therapy exercises, like that's part of being an athlete too. But it's tough, I can't sugarcoat it. It is definitely tough.
But I think one thing you just said that was key that can definitely be transferable is find something, even if it's an hour of the day, to make you feel like the athlete you are. And I think
Hmm.
so many times we're like, well, I can't do this, but it's something that we can do. We just don't think outside the box. But you're really good at thinking outside the box and not really taking for face value what you're handed. And I think that's what I appreciate about watching your journey is that you're like, okay, I can be this. And so, and this is
Mm.
where we have something in common when I'm about to say this, as
Oh,
being a
oh,
model and an
cool.
athlete, right? And so
Yes.
I think about, times when you're having call times at random times of the night and having to make those call times, but still having to train. And you have done it so well at a high level, especially in high school, that starting. So I think that kind of helped to build your mentality of being able to handle anything given to you at any given moment without a notice and being able to switch and adjust and make that adjustment. Can you speak to that experience of growing up in high school and getting opportunities to go to Paris and
Yeah,
being able
totally.
to still train and making that hard decision ultimately at the end to say, no, I am going to run and modeling will have to fit in where it fit in.
Right. Yeah, that was a big, looking back, that was a big fork in the road in my life where when I was in high school, I was modeling. I had an agency in New York that I was working with, and then an agency in St. Louis where I was growing up, where I'm from. And I was also running. I was on the track and cross country team. And I really envisioned myself graduating high school and moving to New York and pursuing the modeling thing full time. I was working with a pretty big agency called Wilhelmina in New York. And I thought, I'm gonna be rich and famous and live this glamorous life, right? I was like, this is so fun. I had been traveling across the world during high school, to, like you said, Paris or the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, London, New York. And for, a girl from St. Louis, Missouri, who has two teacher parents, who we did family vacations in the woods with our camper growing up. Like, so that was amazing to me. I was like, this is so fun. And I learned a lot. Like you said, I learned a lot, just like life things, like going to castings, presenting myself as a professional, traveling to London on a red eye and then getting there and having to go to a shoot the next, that morning, like when I arrived, stuff like that, where like it's an amazing opportunity to learn and experience things that I just wouldn't have had the opportunity to experience otherwise. And definitely some things that I learned during that time that I was able to use, it's like kind of surprisingly, I guess, as a professional athlete when I graduated from college and I started traveling the world in order to race. But I had already been to London and Paris, and I had done these things where I was traveling for work, and it was definitely very different work. But in both scenarios, I was traveling, and then I had to arrive and be a professional, and I had to use my body, for physical work in both scenarios, and be comfortable in a new place, and eating different food sometimes, and all those kinds of things. And so I definitely use some of those skills later on, which is, like you said, like two totally different things, but definitely was able to use some of those transferable skills, which is pretty cool. But yeah, ultimately, I decided the running thing was what I really wanted to pursue and what made me feel like most proud and most fulfilled, and just something that I felt like I could kind of put my like, I did that, like after I achieved something in running, I always felt like I did that. Whereas like in modeling, when I was like, in a magazine or did an ad or something, it was like, yeah, it was cool, but like, I don't know, like I have good genes. My parents, met and got together and they made me, and here I am. I didn't have anything to do with that. Like, I didn't really feel like as much pride or like fulfillment from what I did. It was fun, and you take it for that, right? It's like it's a fun experience. But the athletics part is like, again, genes involved. I have great genes for athletics too, but also a lot of hard work and dedication and sacrifice that went into like every time, I achieved something. I felt like I did that. So that's why I ended up pursuing the running.
It's the I did that for me because I think being proud of ourselves, we don't always celebrate those successes. And so I appreciate that you do celebrate that. And I just want to touch on this because a lot of this is non-athletic related, but modeling, I don't think people realize the physical demands that it puts on your body.
Hmm.
And people think they see the glamorous side of it, but they don't
Yeah.
see, when you're contorted in positions for a photo shoot, or when you're having to stand all day, on television, like, when I was doing live TV,
Mm.
it
Or
is
you're shooting swimwear in November and it's so
cold.
cold. Or you're shooting parkas in June and you're like sweating and someone's like dabbing your forehead.
And having to look like, oh, I'm very
Everything's
cool.
great.
Everything's,
Yeah.
I'm, oh yeah. So just wanted to put that out there for those who are interested in
Yes,
the behind the
definitely a
scenes.
physical endeavor.
It is a physical endeavor that's not always so glamorous, but the end
Right.
result is very, very glamorous. Okay. We decided that modeling was, we can always come back to it because we have those good genes. You decided to focus on running, and I want to hit on steeplechase because I'm going to be, I was ignorant. I didn't really understand steeplechase and not
Totally.
knowing
Yeah.
that it was, what is it? 7 water pits with 28 hurdles over 3,000 meters to run.
Nailed it. Yes,
Uh,
that's exactly right.
Because of Google. Thanks, Google.
Yes. Good research.
Did a little quick search. That's intense. And then you
Yeah.
have to run with wet feet. And I know a lot of people don't like running with wet feet. So I want to touch on that. What is it like to do steeplechase, and how does that compare to your new love of triathlon?
Yeah. Well, it is very different, but since we already started talking about transferable skills, excuse me, I will share that I actually used something that I use in a tool that I use in the steeplechase for my first triathlon. So, like you said, the steeple is 3,000 meters, which is just short of 2 miles. Every lap, you have 4 hurdles and then this like water pit that you jump over. You like step onto the hurdle and you launch yourself over the water. So you have in total 28 hurdles and 7 water pits. You nailed it. Which is chaotic. It's kind of like an obstacle course on the track. But I've been doing that for years, right? So I started steepling my freshman year of college, which was 2011. So I've been doing that for 12 years now. I feel old saying that. 12 years because now I'm 30. So I have a lot of experience in the steeplechase, but this is my first triathlon, and I really don't have experience open water swimming. That is growing up in Missouri, just something that I never had the opportunity to really do. Didn't grow up surfing or anything like that, and so I have been practicing plenty of swimming in the pool, but I only done a few open water swims leading up to my first race. And I had a couple of experiences with waves that maybe didn't leave a good taste in my mouth, should we say. Like I just got tumbled by a couple waves and was a little shook up by like Mother Nature and the power of the ocean, and just realizing like I'm out here in the ocean. Plus I knew you're gonna get kicked in the face, and you can't see, the water is like brown, you can't see anything. You can't, like in the pool, you can see everything. It's much more, you feel like more calm being able to see. But when you take the vision away and people are kicking you in the face and you're like I was stressed out. Okay. I was stressed out about the open water swim. And so I was talking to my coach the day before the race about just how I was feeling super anxious about the swim. And he was like, we were talking through it, and I was like, he said something about the buoys. And I was like, the buoys. Yeah. And then I was like, hurdles, buoys. Like, wait, I think I've got it. And there's a trick that I use in the steeple where I really try not to think too far ahead in the race, because the hurdles that we go over in the steeplechase are like big wooden barriers. So they're not like sprint hurdles where you see like 100-meter sprinters jump over, or 400-meter hurdlers. They jump over these like metal hurdles that if you hit one with your foot, it like it topples over. Our barriers are big wooden like horse barriers. Like if you see a horse steeplechase race, if you hit the thing, it does not topple over. You will be the one toppling over, not the hurdle. And so you have to like be very intentional about every hurdle. And then also in the steeple, you don't have your own lane. So like any distance event, it's free for all on the track. You don't have your own lane, and so you don't always get a good sight at the hurdle. Oftentimes you're running behind people, there's people on your sides and people in front of you, and often you can't really see the hurdle very well. You just have to like jump. When the person in front of you jumps, you jump. And I've gotten used to that, and I'm actually comfortable with that now. It's like it's never easy, but it's like that doesn't stress me out really anymore, right? But I was thinking about how that's kind of similar to like the open water swimming, where you can't really see and you're just like following the people who are in front of you. You get on their feet in the swim and you're just like swimming and trying to do your best of like you try and sight, but you just do your best. And so I was like, oh yeah, like there actually are some major similarities here. And so in the steeplechase, what I try and do is I just take it one hurdle at a time. And I try not to think about hurdle number 26 when I'm on hurdle number 3, because it's not helpful. I gotta stay where I am and do one hurdle at a time. Okay, get over that hurdle. Okay, now 50 meters coming up on the next hurdle, and get over that one. And so that's what I tried to do in the open water swim. My strategy going in was, okay, I'm not going to think about the fourth buoy. I'm just going to think about the first buoy. Just get to the first buoy. Buoy's going to be on my right. Get to the first buoy. Okay, not the first buoy. Buoy's on my right. Next buoy. I got to focus on the next buoy. Got my right, turn right. Okay, now that's number 2, next buoy. And I just took it one buoy at a time and tried not to think about buoy number 4 and getting out of the water and how I was worried about how that was going to work when I hadn't even gotten to buoy number 1 yet. And so like doing tricks like that, and I think we can all take things that we've learned from other parts in our life, and apply it to this situation where we might be feeling stressed or, kind of nervous about something because we feel like, I don't know how this works. I've never done this before, or I'm not good at this. Okay, well, what am I good at? What skills do I have? And how might I be able to use that in kind of a creative way here, that could actually give me a leg up? Like all these women that I'm competing against, they've never done a steeplechase. They don't know what that feels like. And so maybe that's like a secret weapon that I could use, in a scenario where I don't have experience actually at all. And it worked really well. I think it helped me keep my like heart rate down a little bit, and like helped me stay a little bit calmer in a situation where I was feeling pretty stressed.
Hmm. So you use some transferable skills, one buoy, next buoy, like you did in steeplechase. Now let's talk
Yeah.
about the bike. Your first bike in your real race. What was that like?
Yeah, so the biking actually is my favorite part. I found biking outside. So before, when I was cross training biking, it was always spinning like on a spin bike inside, like mostly on the Peloton. And so the whole like cycling outside thing was new to me, and I started doing that in, I think it was like August or September of 2022. I like got a bike and started, got the clip-in pedals and started going outside on bike adventures. And immediately I was like, this is dope. Like, this is really fun. And I would go for like, 2, 3 hour rides, and I'd have my snacks and my water bottles, and I'd listen to music or listen to podcasts, and I would just like route out. I would, get my route. I set out my Strava route before I left, and I load it to my bike computer. And I was biking everywhere. This fall, I went to Hawaii and I rented a bike, and I did some epic bike riding in Maui. I went to Canada with my Lululemon is my sponsor, and they took us to Canada. I rented a bike there and did some epic bike rides there. So the biking part was like, I couldn't wait for that. I couldn't wait to get out of the water and onto my bike. And I knew as soon as I got out of the water and I got into my bike, I would start having fun. And so the bike was really fun, and I got into a bike pack where I was like rotating lead with some other women. And then I got off the bike and onto the run, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna feel, right? Like running is my thing, but I don't know what it's going to feel like to run after I just swam all out for 11 minutes and then biked for 35 minutes. Like, how are my legs? I don't know. That's a question mark for me. Like, I don't know if I'm going to still have my superpower or not at that point. I was hoping I would, but I wasn't sure. So I got on the run, and I just started passing people like crazy. And I was like, oh, yeah, like this is now I'm like really having fun. So I just had to get past that swim portion, and I started having some real what I call type 2 fun.
Type two fun. So what's type one?
Type 1 fun is like, like normal people fun, like
Ah,
amusement parks and like, you know, sitting by the
okay.
beach drinking mimosas, like you're like having real fun.
Yeah.
And then type 2 fun is like endurance athlete, 3 hour bike ride,
Yeah.
4,000 feet of climbing, that's type 2 fun.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for the type two fun and
Same.
type one fun and type three fun if that's a type two. So with that said, I'm here for all the funs. Okay. What was the distance of your race? Because it sounds like it was a sprint. And
Yes.
just give us a distance so we can kind of quantify quantify it.
Yeah, it's a sprint triathlon. So 750-meter swim, 21K bike, and 5K run.
Okay, okay. When did you know that you were going to win overall your first race?
Well, so I got out of T2, and my fiance was there. He was yelling at me when I got on the bike, he was yelling at me how much time I had between me and the first place person. And I mean like yelling at me, like yelling for me, like he was my boots on the, not like yelling at me, but you know, he
We
was
get it.
yelling for me, letting me know how much time I had between me and the leaders on the bike. So when I got on my bike, he yelled 92 seconds. And so I knew that was the gap. And then when I got on my running shoes, I wanted him to tell me what place I was in. So I got my running shoes on and I came out of T2 and he said, "You're 17th place." And I was like, oh gosh, I've got some work to do.
Wow.
But by halfway through the run, so halfway through, there's 3 laps of the run, and halfway through the second lap, I got into first place, and it was actually really cute. I got to the front, and I was like, I think this is the first place person. But we were actually coming close to like lapping some people. So then I was like, I think this is first place. And then there was a woman on a bike who was in front of her. And I was like, I think that's the bike is the lead, like she's leading the
Mhm.
race, you know, like, and so I was like, I think I'm in first, but I was like, that can't be right. Like, I can't already be in the, in the front. And so I did something that was kind of awkward, but I said, to the woman I was passing who I thought was in first, I said, sorry to do this, but are you the leader? Like, are you winning? And she was like, yes. And then she was like, wait, are you the Olympian? And I was like, yes.
You just messed up her whole day. Like, what? WTF?
It was really funny. And I said, run with me. I just said, run with me. But yeah, at that point I was in the lead, and then I was like, well, I hope I didn't like just like really overestimate myself in the first half of this run. And I hope I don't just like, just die a horrible death now, like I think I feel okay, but I got to the front way faster than I thought I would. So now I'm second guessing myself, like, but it was fine. And then I had to serve a 10-second penalty before going into the finish chute because I made a rookie mistake when I got out of the water and got to my bike. I took my bike the seat off of the little thing that it sits on, and I undid it and put it on the ground. And then I was like, oh, my helmet. And so I had to grab my helmet and put it on. But I served a 10-second penalty for you can't handle your bike without your helmet on for safety. And I knew that was a rule, and I knew that I had messed it up. And so as soon as I did it, I was like, oops. And then I was like, I'm gonna have to serve a penalty for that later.
But the fact that you had to serve a penalty, 10 seconds, and you still ran down 17 other people, that's still an amazing first race ever.
Yeah, it was really fun. I had a good time. I can't wait to do another one.
I was going to say, so what's next on the jacket for you? Like, what other races do you have this year?
Yeah. So now I'm kind of pivoting. I'm gonna do my track season like normal, starting in a few weeks here, and we'll start doing some track races and try and have a really good summer on the track. And then in my off season in the fall, I plan to hop into a couple more triathlons, and continue my triathlon journey. And then so the plan kind of more long term is I still am trying to make the team in track for 2024 in Paris, and go to another Olympic Games on the track. And then that'll be, my kind of ultimate goal. And then I was kind of always going to be done with track after 2024 just because I'll be 32, I guess. 31. I guess I'll be 31. And so I just figured like that's probably the end of my track career. But I thought I would just move on to something else after that and, start doing, I have interest to like be a sports agent or do some broadcasting or sports marketing stuff. Like I've had lots of ideas of like my second, my second part of my career. But then this triathlon thing makes me actually feel like maybe I'm not done being an athlete.
Maybe.
So I think I might try and pivot over to triathlon after the 2024 Olympic Games, and see if I can't make a team in triathlon for 2028. So that'd be kind of fun, but who knows? I'm
You've
open
answered
to I'm open to it.
You've answered my questions because I was like, so are you going to still do both? What are you going to do? But you are so good at this. And I do think you have a future in whatever you want because you're going to be absolutely fantastic. With
Oh, I
that
appreciate
said,
you.
no, seriously, I mean, you answer questions so well within a question. And I'm like, dang, all my homework is done. Bam. But that's what we have to say about that Tallahassee connection. Something about them, that heat, them hills between FAMU and Florida State, that we
That's
just know how to
right.
get stuff done. We know
That's
how to
right.
answer questions. We've done it. We've been there. We've done that. And
Exactly.
just the best dope college town ever. Okay.
That's right.
Um. Wow. Okay. I know we need to wrap this up because we're coming up on time. Again, outside, thinking about having to. Um, I hear that you have a fiance, right? So how did you manage a long distance relationship, training for the Olympics, and balance all of that while still maintaining your relationship? What was that like?
Yeah, Kevin and I have been together since high school, so we have been together for thir yeah, 13 years now. So we've, seen a lot of changes and gone through a lot of changes on both ends, both of us have. And so yeah, I feel really lucky to have someone who's been in my corner for so long, knows me so well. He knows me better than anyone else, and can support me in a way that no one else can. Like, not even anyone from my family really understands me the way that he does because we've spent so much time together. And then, yeah, I mean, just even the story of that he woke up at 4:30 with me for Tritonman. We drove down the day he drove me down the day before, so I could put my feet up while we drove. And woke up at 4:30, and had all my he was standing there with all my stuff while I went to go warm up on the bike, warm up my run, then go get in the water. When I came out of the water, he's ready with my gel and my water bottle, and like that's Kevin. He's just like always there to help and support. And he's not an athlete, so he does finance. He's started his own company and works from home. So that's also amazing for me because if I go to altitude and Flagstaff where we have high altitude training, he comes with me. And then, when I am here in LA, he's here with me now. So he's just an amazing support person. I always just feel so lucky that I get to lean on him because I do so a lot. And any person who is an athlete, especially I feel like in triathlon, like you need help. It's crazy how much support you need to do three sports, and help in so many different ways. But he's, yeah, that amazing support person for me. So I know that I could not do it at the level that I do without his help. So that's amazing. And of course my coaches too. But yeah, takes a village.
It takes a village to try, and I'm glad that you pointed that out because sometimes people don't know how to support a triathlete because they haven't participated. And sometimes it's easy enough to ask, or sometimes just do your best and fill in the pieces. And then as you do it, the more you do it, you get better. And so, shout out to Kevin and shout out to you guys for maintaining balance for 13 years, which isn't easy. Um,
Yeah.
Last question before we go into rapid fire. Fast Break Friday. How? That is gaining so much attention and attraction, and people are so related and they look forward to your Fast Break Friday post. Tell us, how did you come? Because the name is switched. So tell us how it has evolved into Fast Break
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, well, I'll try and quickly tell you the story. It started quite a few years ago now, and I have my hair in a braid today, and it's been raining today, so my hair is like a total rat's nest now. Um, but so it started a few years ago. I have been braiding my hair for like forever since I was, a young girl, doing dance and soccer as a kid. And so I started calling it French Braid Friday. It was like, uh, God, I don't even know, like 2017, maybe 2018, probably 2018. And so I would do this every Friday where I would braid my hair in different styles, and I would call it French Braid Friday because I love the alliteration of all the F's, FFF. And so I was doing that and it was super fun. But people obviously were doing more than just French braids, it was all kinds of different braids. And so it kind of became confusing that it's like French Braid Friday, but you want to be kind of considerate to there's lots of different types of braid styles, and they all have their own names, and you can't call certain braids French braids if they're not, and it just that doesn't seem right, and it didn't fit right with a lot of feel right with a lot of people. And so I took that kind of, not criticism, but I took that information, and I was like, okay, well, how do I make this more inclusive to all kinds of braid styles so that anyone can feel like they can be a part of this? Because it's not just for people who look like me or have the same hair as me. I wanted it to be for anyone who enjoyed putting a braid in their hair, whatever the style that might be, because it made them feel a certain way. And for me, the braid is about a feeling. It's like when I braid my hair, I want to feel confident. I want to feel like I'm going to go tackle this long run, or I'm going to go take on this speed workout or this swim time trial, whatever it is. And I got my braids in order to do it. And so I was like, how do we do this? And I had a friend who, she was actually the one who came to me and said, like, yo, this thing you got, I see what you're doing, but we got to figure out how to change the name. And I was like, all right, how, like, I thank you. How do I do this? This person was a Black woman. And she said, like, you can't call cornrows French braids. That was basically her thing. And I was like, all right, I hear you. Like, what should I do? I want to continue the French Braid Friday like vibe, but obviously we need to call it something else. And she came up with, what about Fast Braid Friday? And as soon as she said that, I was like, bingo, like that's what it should have been all along, because that's what it's all about, is not necessarily the braid style, but the feeling. And if it makes you feel fast, then you have fast braids in. Like that's perfect. And so I scooped that up and took her advice, and we changed it to Fast Braid Friday. And I feel like it actually took off even more after that, because I think it became more clear, like what it was all about, like what the purpose was behind the movement. And so I still do it. I post myself in different braid styles every Friday, and like all throughout the week. I'm always wearing braids. It doesn't have to be on Fridays, but I just like alliterations. So we both got it on every Friday. And when I go to races now, actually at Tritonman, there were some people who yelled at me while I was running. I do Fast Braid Friday every week. I was like laughing while I was running. I was like, good job.
On Fast Bay Friday.
Yes. So no, it's something that I just feel like we have a lot of fun with, and it brings people into like a community through something as simple as hair. Like it's just hair. It doesn't really matter, right? Like it doesn't actually make you fast. But it makes people feel like they're part of something, and can unite people in a kind of fun way. So
Absolutely. And hair is the crowning glory in some cultures. And,
yeah,
it's so powerful what our hair can do and
it
make us
is
feel good.
important.
If
I
we're
know.
having a good hair day, like today is a good hair
Yes,
day, or if it's a
not a good
bad
hair
hair
day.
day. Listen, it matters. It matters. It matters. Listen, men often have it kind of easy, or at least that's what we think, because it's reverse roles, right? And it's
Right.
just like you have that bad hair day. It's like everything is just messed
I
up, and you're
know.
like,
You don't have your mojo. You don't have
"Oh,
like I want the
yes."
the Fast Rate Friday thing is like I want you to stand on the start line, whatever your start line looks like, with your shoulders back and your chin up, and you're just like, let's go. Like I got my braids in. I'm ready to take on this challenge, knowing that it's gonna be tough. But I've got the tools I need to give it my best. Like whatever that it could be, like walking into a boardroom, or like walking into a business meeting, or walking into your boss's office to ask for a raise. Like it could be anything that you feel like you need a little bit of extra mojo to like psych yourself up for.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for listening to um, and being an ally in that moment, and being an ally to be
Yeah.
inclusive. I appreciate that. I know we're going into rapid fire, but I just have to let you know how I appreciate you choosing values over sponsorships. We didn't get a chance to touch on that, but I see you rocking Lululemon, and I know you're proud of that. And, I just say I want to continue, I wanted to encourage you to continue to stand up for your values. So many people pick the dollar versus what they value, and how organizations make them feel about their acceptance. And so I think your movement, whether you know it or not, is affecting people throughout the world and
Yeah.
uh, throughout generations, because I think you hit a couple of different generations, whether it's millennials, Gen X, or Gen Z. You have a very relatable appeal. And when it comes down to sponsorships, especially when you're in need and wanting money because you need to
Mm-hmm.
survive, to be able to stand up and say, hey, you don't want me for all of me, you can't have me for any of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. So shout out to you
Mm-hmm.
on that.
Thank
Rap,
you.
rapid fire.
Well,
Oh,
and
go
I
ahead. Go
will
ahead.
just say, and it's not a correction, but I will just say that a lot of people think that I signed with Lululemon, that I'm going from, for anyone who doesn't know the whole story, I went from Nike. I was sponsored by Nike for 6 years. And when my contract expired, I went through contract negotiations with them, and we could not come to terms on what my value was at that point as an athlete, you know, monetarily, but also like what my value, that that's a way that we show that, so we can show value to a human's like value to the company, but monetarily we couldn't agree. And a lot of people think that I went to Lululemon and must have taken kind of a pay cut in order to join that team, because of like that, I love their team, which I do. And I think that they're amazing and they're much more diverse in every way, shape, and form than Nike was. But to be clear, I did not take a pay cut to go to Lululemon. In fact, I make more than I did with Nike, which is incredible. Like Nike wanted to give me less than I had made with them coming out of college. And so when I walked away from them, it was because I knew that I was worth more than that. And actually, when I walked away from them, I hadn't talked to Lululemon yet. I actually didn't have anywhere, when I walked away, I didn't have anywhere to walk towards. I was just walking away from something that wasn't a fit for me anymore. I just knew that wasn't going to be right for me anymore. I didn't know where I was going to go yet, but I said, I'm not going here. And so, in order to like open myself up to new possibilities, I had to make that move that was at the time, it was very scary. I didn't know that Lululemon was going to scoop me up and take good care of me the way that they have um, for going on 2 years now. So at the time, it was the vision I had was, I am jumping off the deep end right now. And I don't even know if the pool has any water in it. It could be empty. Like, I have no idea. But there's a bear, something. So I have to jump. And so I jumped, and then shortly after that, I started talking to Lululemon, and I was like, oh my God, like this is a dream come true. I didn't know this was even a possibility. I didn't know that, that you guys would want to work with an athlete like me, but like, you're everything I ever could want. Like, that would be amazing. And then to have them say, yeah, we think you're amazing, and we think you're worth this much. And I was like, I think I'm worth that much too. Like, thank you. Like, we were like totally on the same page with just everything. And so I just wanted to clarify that, like, I knew that I was worth more than Nike thought I was. And so it's not that I, had to take a pay cut in order to be with this amazing team. In fact, I'm making way more than I was before, but I had to like have that scary moment in order to be here, to like understand that I could walk away and have nothing at all. But I had to risk that in order to find out if, what I believed was true was actually true. So that
Which
was
took
kind of a
courage.
long-winded answer, but I just wanted to
No,
like clarify.
but it took courage. And you still chose your values. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
you chose
Yes.
your values,
Yes,
and that took
exactly.
courage. And so, whoever's listening who needed to hear that right now, choose you, your values.
Yeah.
And you never know, you could be jumping into a deep end with no water,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
will move forward and you will be rewarded for that obedience of just
Yeah.
honoring yourself. Wow, listen,
And
okay,
how
fast.
I can't even, how many times have I looked back and thought, oh my gosh, if I had stayed there and kept doing that, and stayed with the team I was with, and stayed with the coach I was with, and stayed with my Nike, like, and the life I live now, I'm like, it gives me like chills to think about that. Like, what I'm doing now is so different than that. And if I think about how I would feel if I was still in that situation that I was in. Like, it's like a whole different life. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I just can't even like overstate how different my life is now because of that one decision.
Mm. That's all it takes is one. So thank you for your courage. All right, Fast and Furious.
Yes, rapid fire hit me.
What is it called? Rapid Fire. Look, I forgot what it was called. Rapid Fire. I heard you like to listen to music or podcast on your long rides. So what's your favorite music artist?
My favorite artist right now to listen to while I ride my bike is Kygo. I just
Kygo.
everything his Spotify just shuffle Kygo is just totally a vibe to me right now.
Bam. Favorite podcast?
Hmm. Actually, I'll shout out since this is a triathlon podcast. I just met a new friend in LA the other day, and he hosts a podcast with a couple other pro triathletes. It's called That Triathlon Life. You know that one?
I do know that Triathlon Live. Okay,
I
so that's
just
her.
met Nick Goldston. He's one of the hosts, and I was like, "Oh, I'm new to this whole world." I was like, "I never heard that." So I listened to an episode, and it was really cool. They Paula Finley is one of the hosts, and she talked about one of the questions that one of the listeners submitted was about periods and how she deals with her cycle as a pro athlete, and she addressed it on the podcast. And I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool."
Not
So
sure
we
how
should
I
go
feel
check that one
about
out.
that since this is also a triathlon podcast, although this is more of a generic for everybody podcast, but
If
we
you're
can
on
let
a
it slide.
3 hour bike, if you're on a 3 hour bike ride, you're gonna need multiple podcasts. There's
That's
room for
true.
all of
That
us.
is true. But you know what? I feel like, there's room for everybody. So
Yeah,
shout out to that
exactly.
triathlon life. Um, I'm taking this from you, what you did on the red carpet. What type of potato are you?
So many people have asked me that since that video. I'm gonna go with gnocchi. I think gnocchi would be my potato product of choice.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Gnocchi, potato of choice. Appalachian Parkway, Monroe Street, or Tennessee Street?
For running or just in general?
Just in general.
I guess Tennessee Street. It's like iconic. Like
Okay,
Tennessee, I have a
okay.
lot of memories. Tennessee Street.
And I may get this wrong. Um, what would you order if you went to Guthrie's right now?
Oh my gosh. Don't judge me. I've never been. I'm glad you found that out at the end of the podcast, or otherwise this might not have
Oh my
happened.
God. This is,
I'll give you a moment. I'll give you a moment. Yeah. Yeah.
you've never got a gut box? Ooh, I just remembered my body. Oh my God.
I know. What about what about Momo's?
I don't think momos were around when I was there.
Pizza slices as big as your head? The pizza slices were like this big.
I don't
We used to
think
have pizza eating contests at Momo's. No?
Oh,
Okay.
but Guthrie's is such a universal staple. Like
Mm.
anybody leaving someplace on Tennessee Street went to
Yeah.
Guthrie's at 2 a.m. in the morning. Mm, mm.
Yeah, no, I never did Guthrie's. I only had a
Oh,
few nights that were like ending at 2 a.m. in the morning.
because
I
you
was
were,
pretty dedicated. I had a couple, but I think we would just do like McDonald's or something lame.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is lame. That is lame.
I know.
But
Yeah.
with that, with that said or done, I can't ask you my other infamous question that we ask on here. Like, do you pee on
Uh-oh.
the bike? Because you're just getting into it.
Yeah.
But
I did pee in my wetsuit.
you did?
Yeah.
So
Part of
that's
my warm up.
fun. So part of your warm up was peeing in your wetsuit.
I mean, like during my warm up, I did. I put it on, and then I was like, I asked one of the other girls there. I was like, "What happens if I have to go pee now? Because I can't take this thing off and put it back on." She was like, "Oh no, you just go pee in your wetsuit." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So
Well,
when we were out there, they let us out in the water to warm up, and it warmed up for like 10 minutes or something in the water, and I peed.
well, welcome to Triathlon.
Yeah,
You're
thank you.
official. You've peed in your wetsuit.
Thank you.
Soon, maybe you'll pee on your bike. But either way, you are here and we welcome you. And we look forward to seeing what you will do. Continue doing what you do. And we have this saying, whenever you try beginners luck, you always win. So, Colleen, thank you for
Aw,
taking the courage to try something different. Like, you're already at the top of your game in one sport, and yet you're like, why not have fun? I think this is what it's all about. And as women, it takes courage to try and to do things differently. And so I thank you
yeah.
for stepping out and doing all those things. Hey, it's Mashonda. Be sure to follow us, Try Beginner's Luck, like us, send us questions, do all the things, and be sure to follow Colleen if you haven't followed her already. She is definitely exciting to follow. We appreciate you guys. I'm Mashonda, and we're out. Peace.
Thanks, Rashonda.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try Beginner's Luck, you always win.